And we had just commenced a lot more discussions on the district level elections expected to take place tomorrow, the 1st of September 2015. Many had advocated that at least it should have been a holiday. And I had announced here on the show that I had tweeted JDM, and that's JD Mahama, the Twitter handle, official Twitter handle of the President, John Dramani Mahama, to make it a holiday. It didn't come to pass, so we'll see how that goes. I hope that he gives me a reply though on Twitter. But we have in the studio to help us also have a lot more insight. We know that there have been concerns raised, especially more recently, about how parties somehow tend to support some of the candidates indirectly or directly, as far as the district level elections is concerned. But for the whole organization of the district level elections, what really and what place does it have in the whole intent of the local governance structure? We have in the studio one-time Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, but currently the first Vice Chairman of the NDC, as well as currently also Director of Election of the party, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo. It's a privilege to have you, sir.
Yeah,
all
nice
right,
meeting you.
Good. Now, as far as this is concerned, this is non-partisan, and so parties do not participate. But at what point do parties need to have an interest in what takes place at the local government level? Not necessarily having an affinity to a candidate, but just have an interest and watch keenly.
Well, generally, our governance system is a three-tier one, with the district assembly system, the regional coordinating council system, and then the national system. So, obviously, whatever happens at the district assembly level has some implication on national policies. Indeed, it is the district assembly where actual implementation of most government programs and projects take place. So we believe that as citizens and as even political parties, we should be interested in the caliber and quality of people that are represented at the assembly level. It has even become more imperative recently as a result of the LI 1960, a new legislation which was passed by Parliament to, as it were, make departments that used to be called decentralized departments now departments of the district assemblies. Therefore, it means that those departments have now become an integral part of these assembly systems. Again, it is also important to note that our decentralization has about 4 components: political decentralization, administrative decentralization, decentralized planning, and the last but not the least, fiscal decentralization. For the past 20 years and above, the issue of fiscal decentralization has become virtually an albatross around our neck. But thankfully, with the setting up of the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, which is headed by His Excellency the President, we've been able to break the jinx. And as I speak to you now, the composite budget system, which has been on the drawing board for a very long time, has now seen the light of day. And if I talk about the composite budget system, I'm talking about decentralizing government budget from the center to the district level, which is now the case. And so people must show a lot more interest, because monies that are supposed to be disbursed by various departments are now being sent to the district assembly level for them to incorporate it in their budget and planning system. And so you have a situation where the budgeting of the district assembly now has become more participatory. They now go for budget hearing at the regional coordinating council. Traditional authorities and opinion leaders and some identifiable groups are all involved together with the assemblies to present their composite budget, which is defended at the regional coordinating council level and eventually integrated into the national budget. So it has become more important for us to show keen interest in this assembly system, because it's virtually going to be the foundation upon which our development as a nation will thrive.
Why then don't we take a lot more or have a lot more commitment to it? We declare that day as a holiday for voting, and also we make sure that there's a lot more interested community people in whoever they elect to represent them at the local level? Because currently that's not how it is. You look at the turnouts, and averagely, since 1992, it's not been the best, I should say.
Well, I think it all borders on public education and understanding of the systems. As I speak to you now, there are several people who do not understand the real concept and the evolution that is taking place with regard to our decentralization system. So I would suggest that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, the Local Government Service should team up with the Electoral Commission when it comes to the Assembly election and provide some resources to even the Ministry of Communication to enable the various information officers and then the facilities at the Information Services Department to be placed at the disposal of the various MMDs in order to assist in disseminating information and explaining the concept more to people. When people get to know that it is very crucial in the day-to-day development of our district, because
then they'll take a lot more interest.
It talks about our education, it talks about our health, it talks about water, it talks about infrastructure, it talks about market, it talks about road network. In fact, the works department of the assembly now comprise of town and country planning, the feeder roads,
Department of Urban Roads, those representatives
and then the Assembly's Works Department itself. So our infrastructure requirement, various issues that borders on our day-to-day survival hinges on the assemblies. Indeed, when you come to the urban areas where we have the well-to-do people and others, sometimes they feel that they have all that they need. But you know, justice and security is one of the subcommittees of the Assembly. The Assembly presides over security issues. So even in your own locality, where you are threatened by armed robbers and threatened by insecurity, you need the Assembly to put in proactive measures, link up with the security agencies, because the DC Security Committee is headed by the DC Chief Executive and includes all the service commanders of the various security agencies. And so even when you sleep and you want to sleep well and sound with both eyes closed, you need an effective district security architecture to manage your own environment.
So that's why you need
the
best brains, as far as the best technical people to also be available.
Yes, indeed.
Because for many of the communities, you get to see that the assembly elections is relegated to the background. You don't tend to have the best technical brains in there, in terms of those who tend to know a lot more know-how. They would want to rather prefer the upper or middle levels of the political structure, so to speak. How does that inhibit decision-making at that level, having even occupied the position as local government minister?
It does, because to a very large extent, if you take the 5 key committees of the assemblies, we have the Social Services Committee, which deals with education, health, and other social issues. We have the West Committee, which deals with infrastructure development and planning and so on and so forth. We have the Justice and Security Committee, which deals with bylaws and security issues. And then we have the Finance and Administration Committee, which deals with the finances of the Assembly. So if you look at these committees, of course, their chairmen, together with the DC Chief Executive, form the Executive Committee of the Assembly, which more or less act as a cabinet of the Assembly. So if you have an assembly like maybe AMA or TMA, and I'm talking about the Metropolitan Assemblies, and you want somebody to be the chair of the Finance and Administration Committee, which is going to deal with a whole gamut of financial issues.
You need somebody with the highest skills.
You need somebody with the highest skills. And so my worry is, why are we not getting our technocrats and our experienced people even taking part in this assembly concept? I would have thought that even retired, financial officers, retired technical officers in the various ministries who have time on their hand and who have energy could have made themselves available to be contest and chair some of these key positions. Because the Justice and Security Committee, when it comes to the making of bylaws, if you don't have legal knowledge, I don't know how you can, formulate a bylaw for an assembly, even though some of the assemblies eventually will engage the services of legal persons. It will be good if you have a legal person, a lawyer, as a member of the assembly who can take his rightful place and chair the Justice and Security Committee. If you have the Finance and Administration Committee, where the assembly balance sheet and then the statement of account and financial returns are demanded by law every month and every quarter, you need to send quarterly reports. If you do not understand this, how can you even interpret the financial statements and others? So I believe that we still have to do more public education, more engagement, so that people will understand that it is not only at the parliamentary level, but it is at the assembly level. I have been a DC chief executive before, and I keep on saying that one of the exciting jobs, albeit very difficult to do in this country, is to become a municipal, metropolitan, or DC chief executive. Why am I saying so? I'm saying so because you connect directly with the people. So if the people need water, and then you go there and you see that their source of drinking is very bad, you go to a place where cattle and human beings are struggling for the same source of water, and then you are able to provide them with borehole, you mechanize it, and the next day you go there and they are fetching clean water and drinking. You have a sense of satisfaction that you are really addressing the felt needs of the people. If you go to a community where they don't have classroom and the children will close anytime the weather changes and it threatens to rain, and then all of a sudden, as a DC chief executive, together with your assembly, you are able to construct a very good classroom block for them, and they can stay there and learn even when it's raining. You have a sense of joy and a sense of satisfaction. So I think that we need to do more, we need to be more proactive in engaging the general public for them to understand that if you want to make an impact on the life of the people, where to start is at the assembly level. And I'm happy that people like Mr. Kwesindum, for instance, started all the way from the unit committee, went to the assembly at the KIA, and then, that became a stepping stone. And several of our serious politicians...
Because I was just about to come onto that, and especially when, their ambition is there for them to become top political, whether career or politicians, so to speak. They use the assembly as a stepping stone. Why then don't the parties also tend to have an interest as to the type of people who would become assembly members? And if they do, because that conflicts with the law, it also poses a serious challenge.
Well, so, it is a truism that the assembly concept is non-partisan, which I subscribe to a very large extent.
That it should be non-partisan.
Because I believe that...
But the parties indirectly tend to have...
Yeah, but I'm saying that this is because this nation has been held together largely because of the non-partisanship of the assembly concept. The way this country has been polarized, if we had gone partisan with the assembly concept, we would have had serious challenges. Challenges with even citing of development projects, because now when you go to the assembly and they have their common fund and they go to assembly meeting and they are deciding on development projects, they don't do it on partisan lines. If you decide to make it partisan and then some common fund arrives, the party which is dominant will decide that we will develop our area, and it can bring social strife, it can bring a lot of challenges as far as national cohesion is concerned. So even though those who are calling for partisanship of the assembly have a point, I think that the overriding interest of national unity and national cohesion should encourage us to continue to maintain the non-partisan status of the assembly. But be that as it may, we should also be interested in the number of people who contest. And so, it's an undercurrent. The surface is very smooth, as if nothing is happening. But beneath it, there is some level of political interest in that.
Do you officially or indirectly tend to sponsor some candidates because you feel that you need a certain mindset, a certain way of thinking from a certain particular group of people within a certain area towards shaping the way the development should be?
Actually, it's against the law. So
it's against. I'm saying not, directly in your.
It is not advisable. You know.
Do you by any chance? I know you may not be telling me the truth, but do you think about it in your party meetings or things like that?
Well, obviously we do, because sometimes you need to look at some caliber of people and encourage them that, look, if we look at your background,
they need to start at the grassroots
and
level,
what you can bring on the table, you have a potential in the future. Why not starting from the assembly? Okay. Because there are several top-notch politicians. I am a typical example of it. I am a grassroots person, right?
You started from the
from assembly level through to district, to region, to national, and so
precisely why it's illegal. By the structure and the concept.
I am saying that I did not enter because on the basis of
a party
politics.
Yes,
I entered on the basis of my commitment to community development, which endeared myself to my people, and they said, look, can you participate in the unit committee? Can you participate in the assembly concept? I was spotted by His Excellency Flight Lieutenant Rawlings to become a DC Chief Executive in 1993, not because of my overly partisanship. At that time, I was not very, very partisan, but because of my involvement in communal community work, communal labor, mobilization of people for addressing community issues and others. That really led me to catch the eye of His Excellency the President, who decided to make me a DC Chief Executive. So I believe that party politics, politicians will have some interest. As far as the law is concerned, we don't sponsor people. In fact, I am in Tema. I've been a candidate in Tema West. I have.
That's my constituency.
Yes, I've worked there, and you know the kind of work that I've done there. In the assembly election, I have tried as much as possible to stay out.
Okay. I've not seen you around, though. I'm even surprised.
Even yesterday, there were a number of gala competitions and others, and people were calling me, come and grace the occasion for us. I said, no. As a practitioner and somebody who has walked through this process, I want to give respect to the process. So let me, because I may go there as a senior citizen, a concerned citizen, but the fact that I attend one candidate program will send signals that, look, he's bringing partisanship into the system. So I have resisted the attempt.
Even though you get the pressures?
The pressure has come from all angles. I've resisted it because I understand the system. I've been part and parcel of the system for the past, nearly 20 years or so, and I thought that the best I can do is to show interest in it.
Well, we have to speak to Ivy Satoji. Ivy Satoji is our lead correspondent in the Volta region. And Ivy, a very good morning to you. We know that the security is supposed to be at the topmost level as far as for this very district level elections is concerned. What do you see at that level in the areas you visited in the region as far as security is concerned for the election?
Good morning, Roland. Security in the Volta region, they are very much ready according to what I have seen. And
Ivy? Well, we'll try and get Ivy back on the line. And
hello?
Yes, Ivy. Yeah,
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please continue then.
Yes, I was saying earlier that according to what I've seen in the areas in the Volta region, but more especially where the elections are being held, the local elections, security is very tight. Aflawu, for example, Ugoli, a place called Ugoli between Volta and Eastern region, that is near Sechi. I was told these are concentrated more there because of a little problem there, so they're concentrating more there. But according to the regional commander, that issue has also been resolved, and that the police are very much ready for tomorrow's local election. And most of the places I visited, I realized that the police are on patrol. They are very much ready as to what to do tomorrow in a place like Aflagachi, in Aflau, that is known to be a major place in Aflau. That is when anytime it comes to elections, the police are ready for that place as well. And there in Sugakope, to North, Keta, all those places. And talking about the EC, they are also ready. I spoke to them earlier on. They are also ready for tomorrow. And so, everything is ready. What the police are asking, according to the regional minister, is they want the cooperation from the public. They want a peaceful election tomorrow.
Okay.
They want the public to help them have a peaceful election. They don't want any problem. So that is what they are asking. So everything in the Volta region is set for tomorrow's local election.
Now let's talk about prior activities until today, or let's say tomorrow, because we're supposed to be having the sensitizations and the various interactions by the candidate. Have you been able to see those interactions? Because usually we know they are not campaign forms. They're usually door-to-door activities. Have you been able to see those interactions, and how have they had the buy-in from the various communities in which they've been talking to?
Well, if you are talking about, are you talking about the interactions with the public from
the candidates? The candidates.
Okay, fine. I realize that the various candidates in the region have been able to do that very well. Some of them ended yesterday, some did into the night, especially in Aflau, and then also in Fuga, but that's Ketu South. The candidates were able to market themselves very well. They were able to talk with the public as to what the public should expect them to do if they are voted into or if they are given the nod. So they are able to articulate all these things. Some of them were interviewed on the local stations. Some of them had their best to talk with the public and other people, people in power, churches. Some of them even went to churches. So with the candidates, I think they've also tried their best to do in a peaceful manner. Anyway, they also tried their best to do or to prepare for tomorrow's election. When I talked to some of them, they told me they are very much ready and they are sure they will be given the nod. But all they want is the public to also help them have a peaceful election.
Well, good insights there. We'll have to let you go, though. But before we let you go, please, one more. I see that for many of the communities that we visit with the cameras, you tend to see that the way they package or design their posters have colors very much affiliated to some of the topmost parties we have in Ghana. Is it to give indication to the electorate that, oh, I'm affiliated to this party, even though there's no emblem or there's no logo or whatever it is?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's the same thing everywhere. In the region too, we have some of the candidates having these colors of the various political party, MPP, NDC, PPP, all those stuff. But some of them did not go that way. Maybe those who couldn't have those colors are independent, or they don't belong to any political party. Maybe that was what I was told. Some of them I spoke to said they don't belong to any political party. But I don't know how possible is that. But they still want.
Well, Ivy, we have to end it there. And Ivy Setoje is our lead correspondent in the Volta region, talking to us about it. Now, we have to speak to the police and get a lot more insight. But I would want to speak to you before I get to ASP Ebenezer Tete, who is the Northern Region Police Command PRO. Mr. Fosuampofo, you take a look at some of the posters, green and blue, no, green, red, black, and you get all the whites and all. Then you see another poster that has blue, white, red, and all that. Is it to give? I think
we have limited colors, and so all the colors available have been utilized by the candidates.
What do you make of those?
Well, I personally believe that if you take, for instance, PNC, NDC, and then another party, we use virtually the same color. If you take MPP,
NDP,
and other, and then, so I think that the colors, they don't have a choice. They are limited by what's available. But let me make two important points. The first point I want to make is about the Electoral Commission. It's an opportunity for them to put some of their gadgets. For instance, in the last election, we had a number of challenges with the biometric machines. I have been told, and then we've observed that they have upgraded some of the biometric machines, customize them in order to avert
That's what
challenges.
you've been told?
Well, I think that through the IPAC process, I know that something like that has been done. And so it's an opportunity for us to test how robust the biometric machines will perform, and efficiently they will perform. Again,
that's your second point.
The second point has to do with turnout. And I believe that if we had really given some holiday of a sort, it would have helped, because...
Tell the president. You are closer to the president.
In the general election, let me just give you this more. In the general election, a lot of people went to their constituencies to register and vote there. And so they have their votes in their constituencies. Indeed, they also have interest in what happens in their various electoral areas back home. And I would have thought that we should have done same, so that they get the opportunity to go back to where they have their votes to go and cast. It is not too late. We can still look at it. Otherwise, heads of departments and others can be advised to relax the rules of attendance for tomorrow.
Really?
So
that shouldn't work tomorrow. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that they should relax the rules of attendance.
Why should they relax the rules? Because it's not official. So why should they relax?
No, but I'm saying that since it's a voting day, somebody may go and...
Why don't you declare it a holiday? Why don't you advocate? I know you don't have the power. But we have ASP Ebenezer Tete. He's a Northern Region Police Command PRO on the line. My good friend, a very good morning to you. Okay. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good morning, Ro.
Yeah, okay, good. Now, Ro is the informal appellation you have to give me. So now, I have to ask you, how many police are you deploying to the various areas? How many have also been deployed to your region, so to speak, who perhaps necessarily are not police, but other personnel of the security services?
As we speak now, we have some personnel who have just arrived from Accra. And we initially had a deficit, and with the arrival of the personnel from Accra, I think that should be catered for. But we are talking about over 1,000 plus polling stations that the elections will be, held tomorrow, and we will be able to cover all the areas with the arrival of the men from Accra.
Okay. The good thing is this is not political, so at least you're not going to witness a lot more of the animosity and the disagreement and perhaps some of the conflagrations that tend to be associated with the mainstream party political activity. Is it the same thing you are going to observe tomorrow too?
Yes, you are right. It is apolitical, but nonetheless, we have identified some areas where we think we have to do extra work there. So. Just like the main elections where we have polling stations that are looked for candidates who plan accordingly and make sure we have the last member so that we don't have any situation on our hands.
How many personnel will be deployed to the very end and to how many areas?
Each polling station will be manned by at least one policeman or any of our sister citizens will be called in to assist.
All right. Thank you very much, ASP Ebenezer Tete. He is the Northern Region Police Command PRO, and giving us that very information about how the deployment will be done and whether they have added personnel from the other security services. And now we have to conclude on our discussions. If, let's say, a number of people are elected and they don't tend to be affiliated to a particular party, how does that disadvantage the party or tend to give a certain public opinion, certain guideline as to what the pattern is or how people feel, so to speak?
Well, generally the elections are organized in a non-partisan manner.
Yeah,
so
true.
Whoever is elected, when they get to the assembly, I do not think that they go there in their political colours.
Well, I know, but do you do an assessment of it? Because we have posters that tend to give indication where they are coming from, which party they may be affiliated to, etc., even though it is non-partisan.
But generally, I have worked at the assembly level, and I believe that what we do is consensus building. Even in an area where you feel that one political party, perceived political party members dominate, you need to reach out to others in order to, build on consensus. Because, for instance, the appointment of presiding members presents a huge challenge where the law used to be, I think there is an amendment to the law. The law used to be 2 tests of all assembly members. And sometimes getting the 2 tests, if you do it on political lines, I have seen situations where in particular assemblies they have done 11 elections without getting a presiding member. So consensus building is the order of the day. You meet together and you try to do the mathematics and you try to do the jaw drawing and try and satisfy all shades of opinion. Sometimes you get to some areas, even the tribal representation becomes a challenge, and so you need to see how you can balance it so that it is not seen. In some districts, you have one district dominated by 3 traditional areas, and so you are not careful. Oh, people from these traditional areas are dominating.
Yes,
so
happens a lot.
Even in the appointment of doing government appointee, you need to put all this into the equation before you come out of government appointees in order to satisfy interest group. If it's a fishing community and then they don't get anybody representing them, you need to get somebody from the fishing community to represent them. It's a farming community, you need to do that. You need to look at traders, you need to look at maybe dominant groups like GPRTU. You also need to look at, if it's a Muslim-dominated area, you need to consult with the Muslim community and get somebody to represent the interests of the Muslims. You need to consult with the Christian community and get one person who cut across the Christian community. So all this equation has to go in so that at the assembly level you can have some level of equilibrium in order to ensure that the assembly operates smoothly.
It's an interesting point you make. Following this, or before this, had been the debate about whether we need to be having the various heads of the MMDAs elected or not. How do we, what is the mindset
like
to
the DC chief executive?
Yes, yes.
Well,
yes.
I think that we should hasten slowly because,
Meaning
you know,
what?
I'm not for that. I
Why?
believe that, you know, when you look at the Constitution and you look at Act 462.
We're not talking about what the Constitution says, so we're varying our opinions
well,
from the Constitution.
I'm saying that personally, as a practitioner, I believe that we need to maintain this system. We need to maintain this system because, you see, you have a DC chief executive representing the central government at the district level, where central government policies and programs are to be prosecuted. You have a situation where some regions are noted for their support for particular parties, and you ask yourself, if you do this partisan election, and then you get somebody who doesn't even believe in the ideology and the vision of the president, who is the head of central government, and then the person is supposed to implement policies that he doesn't believe in those philosophies and ideas, we are going to have challenges. You have a district chief executive who is heading the district security committee and by extension reports directly to the president on security matters. If that person doesn't believe in the president's vision and ideology and philosophies, then we have challenges. So I believe that we need to maintain this system for some time. We will get there one day when we grow into full maturity as far as our political democratic experiment, you know, is concerned. So for now, I do not believe that we should elect DCs. I believe that we should still maintain the system as it is. You know, President Kufuor, interestingly, when he was campaigning to become president of the Republic of Ghana, indeed one of the highlights of his campaign was election of DCs. After 8 years when he was leaving, in his last sessional address to Parliament, he said that we should be very careful with that proposition. At least experience has taught him that it is not easy. It is easier said. Theoretically, people who come and propound theories and compare it to other countries and say that do this. But when you go into real practice, I believe that President Kufuor was very honest and sincere to himself and the people of this country when he made that
let's take, for example, a city like Accra. We take a city like Kumasi, and we take Ho. Let's say we have one particular party in power. Accra is cosmopolitan. Kumasi may not be cosmopolitan enough, and Ho is not cosmopolitan enough. Okay, so what happens? Aren't people supposed to be accountable to the people who elect them? Because based on the fact that they may also have some level of autonomy, and so perhaps we can start on a certain level and say we need to do the election perhaps in a certain tier system. And so certain cities and certain areas will be categorized as, well, the initial first phase cities that could do their election of their mayors or their heads, etc., who will be more responsible to the people who elect them? Make sure that the campaign promises on which they were elected are really seen out and also come to fruition, so to speak.
Well, it is not a bad idea because the mega cities all over the world, most of them do elections of mayors. We don't even have mayors in Ghana. We call them mayors, but we don't have mayors in Ghana. We have metropolitan chief executives and municipal chief executives. We don't have mayors. Those areas, they have mayors and they elect their mayors. We can take a look at that as we progress in this process. But I think that there are still implicit accountability systems in our current dispensation, because the people are electing assembly members. The assembly members then go to the assembly and elect the MMDCs. And so in a way, there is a level of accountability, even though it is not universal adult suffrage. It is embedded in the system that the assembly members that we are electing today, that is why we should also be very careful, the assembly members we are electing, because we are offering them some unique power to go and determine who becomes our chief executives at the Metropolitan Municipal and District Assembly. You know that there are a number of MMDCs whose tenure of office has ended, and some of them had the opportunity of getting appointed by the president and
in the interim.
And then not in the interim. All of them are now at home because their 4-year mandate has ended, and regional ministers have taken oversight responsibilities. So that should sound people to know that once this assembly election is over and the assemblies are well constituted, His Excellency the President will decide where MMDCs whose tenure of office are ended may be reappointed or where new ones will come in. So the power to vote for assembly members today includes giving them the mandate to determine who our MMDCs become in the future. So there is still some inherent system of accountability which is reposed in the assembly members that we are going to elect tomorrow, and that should inform us as to who to elect, because at the end of the day, those decisions will be crucial to our survival and our day-to-day development at the various metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies.
Interesting point you make. We have to end this very discussion on it. But your party has open nominations?
Yes, we have open nominations.
And it will be ending?
On the 10th of September. Okay. That is, we have about 10 days to go.
Right. How many people do you hope to pick up forms, or you don't know?
Well, averagely we have sent 5 forms to each constituency, but we still have contingency that anytime that the 5 forms are exhausted and the constituency request for more, we'll give them. But we have, that's the average expectation, that at least 5 forms per each constituency will be enough to satisfy the demands that people will make at the various constituency levels.
I was speaking to some MPs, I think, the last week, and they thought, I mean, from both sides of the divide, they thought that certain people needed to be maintained, so to speak. They were very sad that, especially during the primaries of the MPP, some notable personalities did not get re-elected to become the candidate. As a party, do you think towards that, or you think it's a free-flow thing? They want democracy to work?
I share the view that we need to maintain some level of institutional memory in the various in our parliament, because experience in parliament is very, very paramount. But you know, that's the price for democracy. Once you decide that the people should make the choice, they can decide to make their own choice, but that is their right.
That's their choice.
They have the choice to make. They have the right to make wrong choice. Even if you feel it's a wrong choice, that is their choice. But I believe that the bottom line is that if you are very good in parliament, very experienced and very articulate, the bottom line is that keep in touch with your people. Blend the parliamentary work with constituency work, and you will not have any problem. Because I know some MPs are also very excited, even at the expanded delegates electoral college that we have provided, because they felt that under the previous system, few people can gang up against you and decide to deprive you of the opportunity of representing your people. This time around, the net has been widened. So many people are supposed to take part. Indeed, the question is that even for the general election, you are going to appeal to more people beyond your voter, your party base. And so why are you afraid to go and meet the base of your party? I think that it's about connecting yourself with the grassroots of your party, and you will not have any problem at all. But the bottom line is that, indeed, if we are able to, if the electorate are able to see through and realize that there are some key people whose presence in Parliament is very crucial to our survival and our parliamentary democracy, it is through public education. The parties must also do internal public education without any coercion, but to appeal to people where they think that some people are very critical in terms of their contribution to parliamentary democracy in this country.
Thank you very much. Ofosu Ampofo, he's the first vice chairman of the NDC. He's also director for the party's elections, and we say thank you very much for joining us this morning. He's from my constituency, Tema West, as well.
Yeah.
All right.